What it do, what it don't, what it will, what it won't. It is another Friday, another opportunity to get together and record the experience that is known as the Ball Hog Sports Talk. For all of you who are new to this experience, you are in for quite the treat. The Ball Hog Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. Today's episode is going by the title of Return on Investments, ROI, Return on Investments. And we're going to show some of those returns as it comes to sports, business, and entertainment. You don't want to miss this. Fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be quite the show. So make sure that you do all the things you need to do this beautiful morning. Matter of fact, won't we let you see our beautiful faces, but do so with the spirit of sports, business, and entertainment colliding. With no further ado, all of you guys, make sure that you pour you a nice tall cup of coffee. Make sure that you are ready and prepared. We got some riveting content. It's going to be amazing. When you see sports, business, and entertainment collide, when you hear us do it rough, rugged, and raw, that is the word that comes to mind, and that is amazing. So, with no further ado, let's go. Wake up, wake up, wake up, and stay woke, because this is the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're going to give it to you rough, rugged, and raw. So come get you a spoonful, like some grits with butter and salt. You know how we do it in the South, y'all. Make sure you do not get caught in your feelings. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. Come on, let's go, 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 go. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's another Friday and an opportunity to get together and record the Ball Hog Sports Talk. The whole crew is in the building. I am with the man, the myth, the legend. Thou shall be intergalactically known and respected as. When you say it with your chest, say it with some reverence in your voice. Make sure it's a lot of bass in there, because he's been known to act ugly when respect is not rendered. He is the Big Flow Show. What's up, my brother?
Man, what's good? What's good? What's good? Happy Friday to you. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, brother. You know what it is, man. Happy Ball Hog Sports Day. We in the building, baby. Winter is coming, man. It's getting cold, but we going to keep this thing hot. We're going to keep it like hot fish grease. When sports, business, and entertainment collide, when the crew is in the building, it's like hot fish grease. Don't put your hand in there. You might get burnt. But feeling good today, man. I'm feeling good today, baby. We got some good stuff today, man. We going to, like, when we say sports, business, and entertainment collide, we really mean it. Today's episode is going by the title of Return on Investments. And I know our little thumbnail said Return of Investments. Don't worry about that, man. Sometimes we got some mistakes. It's Return on Investments. And we know it as ROI. The bumper sticker definition of ROI, or even the more technical definition of ROI, I'm actually going to read right from Investopedia.com. For those of you who aren't investing yet, start investing, man. Just start taking basic information that's out there and available to you publicly. But Investopedia tells us that return on investment, ROI, is a ratio that measures the profitability of an investment by comparing the gain or loss to its original cost. It helps assess the potential return of investments on stocks and business ventures. ROI is usually presented as a percentage and can be calculated using a specific formula. Having said that, all the defined terms mean what they mean. But we all know that before you spend a single dollar in the way of investing, you think what's going to be the return. Pretty fair, wouldn't you say? So how does this have anything to do with sports, business, and entertainment? A lot to do with business, but how does it have anything to do with sports and entertainment? We'll start here. At the fundamental level, as a sports dad, as we both fancy ourselves, which is why we got these gray hairs. You know, try to hide mine a little bit, but that's up in there.
I hit mine lots a bit, but go ahead.
You know, not only do we justify the gray hairs by being a sports dad, not only do we also explain the miles that you put on your vehicle, the tread that you ruin on your tires. There's also a dent in your bank account. Can I get a hallelujah? Amen.
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 Praise Jesus.
Praise him. Praise him on Friday. I had to look into some of the numbers. On this day when we have decided to devote an entire episode to return on investments, I had to really explore the type of investments, sports dad, sports mom, sport parent, the type of investment, the type of numbers that we talking about. Here's what I came away with my research. For those meaningless games, I can say it now that my son's in high school. You know it now that your son and daughter are college athletes. Not completely meaningless. They build character and all those things. But nobody's asking you at the NFL draft, what was your record at 12U? Did you ever win the AAU basketball championship? What was your EYBL record? Nobody's asking you that in the NBA draft room. So that's why I'm calling it meaningless. For them fake rings that you get, for those hollow trophies that weigh 32.
I got a national championship ring here someplace. I don't know where it's at.
You got it. I got mine somewhere too. We lose it because it's fake. It's not real. You cannot take that to the pawn shop and get anything. For all of that, here's what on average we're paying. $40 billion in annual revenue is attributable to youth sports. And revenue comes by way of our pockets. All right, I'm not making any money on youth sports yet, but it comes by way of our pockets. So what does that mean in terms of our expenses? It has been a range of anywhere between, in 2024, it was shown $1,000, $1,016 to be exact. Anywhere from $1,016 to 2025, it is saying all the way up to $3,000 per child per sport. That amount.
Who? That's a national average, including Park District.
A national average, right?
Bringing the
you hear
price
that number, you
down.
laugh at it. $3,000, you laugh at the number, right? So that's per child per sport. And they say it varies depending on the sport and the level. So if you play travel, if it's a higher registration, if you get private lessons, all the things that make you laugh at that $3,000.
This is one of those times where averages are meaningless, and you need to slot it.
Maybe
because somebody would be like, okay, on average, but I'm just saying, like, people look at that, and I don't want to sidetrack too much on that, but people look at that and say,
I'm trying to be fair. You and I both have retained the services of private trainers, and we know what that costs. Fair. Mm-hmm. Okay. 60 million children play youth sports on an annual basis. And since 2019, there has been basically a 49% increase in the cost of what you pay. 2019 was only 6 years ago. The range is from a few $100s to over $9,000 a year per child. I don't know what sport that is. I ain't spending $9K.
That's hockey.
That's hot. Oh, you said hockey. Maybe.
Yeah.
We start here on this show because I asked you. I started talking about the meaningless trophies and the rings. Last week, we had the one, Thatcher Anson Brown, on, and I talked about his picture and his smile and how the sacrifices he makes it all worth it. We start here, just a general question. What is the return on the investment? When you look at those numbers, what is the return on the investment? There's these promises that a lot of parents, especially in 2025, have fabricated in their brain. These visions of grandeur where their kid they're going to make all that back because their kid's going to get the big NIL deal. Maybe that happens, but I wouldn't bet good money on it. Low odds to that. So I ask you, what's the return on the investment? For those who are watching a live audience, you answer the question too, right? 60 million kids are participating in youth sports on an annual basis. right? It has been shown that maybe $9,000 may be spent a year. On average, at least $3,000 spent per year. Let's talk about the return on investments before we talk about this week's topics. Youth sports, you've gone through it. You can't get the money back. So what is your return on those investments? And I say that both as sort of for you and I to recap, but also for a precautionary tale for any parents out there who might just be entering the youth sports. I don't want to call it the youth sports money pit. I'll call it
the trap.
The trap. What say you? What is your return on investments? How do you justify? How did you justify? How would you advise parents that are just entering into this world of endless money to be spent?
I think you need to have clear cut goals on what you're trying to get out of it. And I think what did this guy say? I don't know. Some guy I'm going to quote on the internet, and he said there's a difference between family members. He broke it down by groups, but he's like, some family members go into sports with the goal of going pro at it, and then some going to with the goal of gaining knowledge from it. I'm beating it up. I'm not getting it right all the way, but I think the return
some form of that. Trying to go pro at it or trying to gain knowledge from it. I get it.
Yeah. And okay. My son used to go to this place called Throw It Deep. A guy named Ty Christensen, Ty Christensen, something Christensen. He coached Mahomes and all these different people. And
just for record, he don't care that you don't remember his name because your check already cleared. So he don't take.
I went free. We went free. But
oh, okay.
We went free. We ain't pay. But he I would talk to some of the dads, and he charged like $65 a session. There'd be like 30 quarterbacks, 6 throwing it at one time in all different directions. It was chaos. My son would just go catch balls. So those guys don't really have to pay. But what I would say is I talked to some dads that are paying this $60 a week, and their kid would be,
$60 a session or $60 a week?
A session, because it was just on Sundays. It was just one day a week. So $65 a session. And then other people had privates and whatever, people doing it. And they're like, yeah, my son has a chance to be the JV quarterback this year. He's a junior, I think he could do this, whatever. Or this guy, I think he could be the backup. Like in my opinion, not not to judge anybody, but not what I would be like. I'm not sending my son paying that kind of money or my daughter pay that kind of money if I don't have college.
You're saying for level specific? If you're going to be JV quarterback, it's not worth $60 in your mind per session to go do this. Is that what you're saying?
My thing is, I'm not paying for my child. This is just me. I'm not paying extra money for my child to train at something that doesn't have at least the aspiration to play in college, in my opinion, right? Because I'm looking for the ROI, right? Exactly what you're saying. Some people, lots of people out there are doing this stuff just because they're trying to get life experience for their kid. They want to be able to say their kid is, I knew a basketball guy, and he just wanted his kid to be a varsity starter. That's all he cared about. He's like, I know this kid's not going anywhere. He's not tall enough. His athleticism was there. He knew every trainer. If you needed your son to be know how to jump higher off his left foot than his right foot. He had a left foot jump trainer. He knew everything, dude. He had everything that you could possibly.
That's the left foot guy.
Yeah, he's good for left foot. He specializes it. He knew he would find everything, but his goal was just to see if his son could eventually start a varsity basketball game. So the return on investment.
Did his son ever start on a varsity basketball?
I don't believe his son was still playing basketball after his sophomore year. I believe he was done with basketball.
I feel at that point you gotta shoot me the fade. Me and my son got a box, like a fair one. Like I'm not gonna ask mom to jump in, little bro. Though, it's 1-on-1, but it's in the middle of the neighborhood, the same neighborhood I use to train your ass up and down this damn street. Yeah. We gotta at least fight. You're not even playing the sport anymore.
Not interested. You talk about you don't like it.
I think that was a horrible story. I thought you was gonna say he played.
No, but no, it's terrible. But like the investment was there. Me and my wife had to remind my daughter recently sometimes when she was going through tough times that, hey, we put a lot of money into this. You know what I'm saying? So like, even though sometimes things are tough, like that's just how things are going to be. They're going to be tough, but like it's tough. A lot of people have tough stuff. A lot of people go through school and have to work 6 jobs or take 6 years to graduate college.
Absolutely.
You found your route, and it may not somebody said this one time, everything worth having that's good is on the other side of suck. Like something sucked, and then you got beyond the suck part, and then that's the part that worked out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
I guess that's what I'm asking as a parent.
So the return on investment is
can we get past the suck part? Because paying for all of this
sucks.
Right? It sucks. The hotels, right?
Yeah.
The rental cars, the flights, the gas, the meals when you get there. And then they got the audacity, the unlitigated gall to make you pay to get into a tournament. Now, I did a bunch of coaching for my sons, but I've got to
you know what's worse than paying to get in the tournament?
What's that?
When they make you pay for parking too.
That's when I really get offended. You gotta pay for the video. So
that's when I'm mad the whole week. I couldn't park nowhere else. There were no street parking. It's only one fucking lot. And you want to charge us $100 for the weekend. I'm already here. And now I got to pay you to park.
Yeah. I paid the registration for you for volleyball and football, basketball for your son. And for me, similar. And then I would add track. I didn't have the volleyball experience. I hear that cost of that is just ridiculous. So I'll give you
I can't
bring
food inside the building.
Say that again.
And then I can't bring food inside the building.
Oh man, right? I mean, and then the referees want to tell you to behave a certain way.
Got nerves to tell me to keep my mouth shut. Man, how much money I paid to be here, man? Are you kidding me?
So you get the last word. Give advice to any of the young parents, right? Because this is going to set us up for the conversation about the major sports topics this week, right? We're definitely going to talk about Steph Curry and him parting ways with Under Armour. We're going to talk about UPenn and their new name, image, and likeness mechanism for their basketball player. We'll talk about Brian Daboll getting fired and Nico Harrison getting fired. That itself is evaluation for those respective franchises, whether or not that was worth their investment. Eric Dickerson, and talk about all the years that he gave to the NFL and still feeling like it's a racist structure, right? And so those are our topics, but get us there with the grand finale and your advice to parents.
I think you framed it well with that. I'd say everything in this world is a payoff in what you're looking for and what your goal is. You're dealing with that with my kids right now. On my son, and where does he need to be? Where should he be this year? Where should he be next year? What he should be doing, what we should be thinking, and what does success look like? And I think that's a question that people ask a lot. It's like, what does success look like to you? Like, what would make this a successful thing? And I think a lot of people don't ask the question, they go with the flow. We jokingly say there's a trap, but when your kids get into the sports, if they're any good, or even if their friends are in a group, you start off by doing something that's really low key, and then it graduates. And your kid is friends with a bunch of people on the soccer team or a bunch of people on the basketball, baseball team. Right. And then this is how it goes. I say, hey, Bobby, man, I want to talk to you, man. Hey, I was talking to so-and-so and so-and-so. We're thinking about going over here and doing this and trying to turn it up a level. And now it's, do I go?
Oh, when you go from rec to travel,
yeah.
You talk about investments. You went from, an investment that was disposable income, not a big deal. It's rec. You got to buy equipment. The registration fee is nominal. And then when you get to travel, that's not disposable income anymore. That is life altering. I might not be able to go out to dinner as much. I can't do the annual trip with the boys this year. When you get from rec to travel, the investment bumps up significantly.
But the thing about it is it jumps on it works on you emotionally in a lot of different ways, right? Is everybody's kind of doing it. That's why I say girls is worse, because for boys, you'd be like, man, you ain't doing all that shit. Shut up. Go in the back and play with your brother. You know what I'm saying? With girls, it's like her friends are doing it. You're doing whatever. You start to feel a little pressure, and then you start to see that they have a little promise, and then maybe you can tweak it. And it works both ways. It works. Sometimes your kid's really good, and you're like, okay, I want to go do this stuff, and I think he's going to be great. Or sometimes you think your kid's got potential, and if you just invested some money into it, if
I just go into this other account and take money I don't have. If I just give every weekend.
If I dip into the college fund, maybe I won't have to pay for college. You start to get caught in these dreams. So I would just say, everybody, reevaluate every year or so and start thinking, draw some lines in the sand and say, all all right, by junior high, if they're not showing, you know, aptitudes and or achievement, they're not starting to excel a little bit in junior high, we're gonna dial it back, and then actually dial it back. But have a plan and talk to the kids about it and do whatever. But at the end of the day, enjoy it. I just forwarded a picture to my son and one of his best friends of, like, you know, us at a Notre Dame game when they were really little. And sometimes I think about, man, you know what, if nothing ever comes of this, I mean, obviously something's already come from it, but like, here these dudes are, they got lifelong friends, guys that just, they're right around the right kind of people.
Yep.
And if nothing would have come out of it, I still would be a little sour, but I'd be happy just with some of the friendships that the kids have and life lessons and stories we had. I mean, the amount of driving across the country and talking to my son and talking to his friends about life. And, you know, I remember a horrible time when I was the only dad that could drive to the LeBron James tournament after the kids just had sex education. I was the only adult in the car. It's trash. It was trash. And I still want those parents to pay me for what I had to endure.
That's like one of those Southwest airline commercials. Want to get away? I can imagine. I think that's great advice to reassess. And as a coach, I would double down on that. I posted something this morning and said 15. That's right. 15 of the kids that were on our 13U last year, 15 of them are on high school varsity football rosters this weekend for the playoffs. Man. And so you have to take, you've got to figure out what's most valuable to you. Right? I'm never going to get the hours that I've devoted to coaching back. I'm never going to get the money. When you're the head coach, like that's why I've in my later years, I've developed this really thick skin, and I sleep well at night, no matter if parents are upset, because like they have no idea how much money
before you go to bed. But go ahead.
Say that again.
No, I was just saying you sleep well at night because you drink heavily before you're going to sleep.
Fair. However I get there. I get to REM sleep. But I have now also reassessed and so taking things that are not necessarily traditional returns and the value that like they say, the priceless value of things. So let's hop in today, man, because while we say that, there's still parents out there because of 2025. Name, image, and likeness has been very valuable, profitable for the athletes that have been within the NIL contracts. It has been very valuable for the institutions that have figured it out, a la a team like Indiana, IU, the Hoosiers are rocking and rolling in football. Who would have thought NIL made that possible? And I think NIL, though, has been most valuable, most profitable, and you can trace it. It won't be a direct line, but you can trace that 60 million children participating in youth sports, $40 billion in annual revenue, largely can be traced indirectly to name, image, and likeness. Because so many parents think that their kid is going to be one of those athletes. A person who is actually benefiting from their name, image, and likeness, Steph Curry, had the deal of a lifetime with Under Armour. And so we're going to start there. Steph Curry has deal of a lifetime with Under Armour. And, simple and plain, Under Armour decides, after putting all of his chips in the middle of the table when it comes to Steph Curry, that they're going to focus on what they're calling their core business and move on from the Steph Curry brand. All in all, you think of Steph Curry, you think of Under Armour, right? If you think of Under Armour at all in the basketball circle, you immediately think of SC Steph Curry. I can think of the Steph Curry ones. All in all, how would you assess what was a partnership that is the model of name, image, and likeness when it comes to a brand trying to make up lost ground in market share, trying to be a player in space that it had never been respected? How would you assess Under Armour Steph Curry, the partnership that was, and as of yesterday, is no longer?
Honestly, I'm a Nike guy when it comes just to the brand, just what it looks like, the shoes, how they make the best shoes. Like, you know what I mean?
Have you
Like,
ever owned a pair of Under Armours?
I have. They were cheap. That was on sale. You know what I mean?
Do you think you would have ever worn the Under Armours had Steph Curry never been the face of Under Armour?
No, I definitely Steph. I have a Under Armour Steph Curry like sweatsuit or whatever, which I like.
Yep.
I do like Under Armour's gear. I have a lot of Under Armour gear, mainly because they appreciate the fat guy. They come in 4X. So and Nike thinks everybody's skinny, so they don't really look out for brothers like
Got
they're
it. I
supposed
got
to.
it. All right.
But from a gear standpoint,
You breaking up on me. I don't know. I think you went mute. You went mute. Let's hit the mute for me. You gotta hit the mute button. Sorry. All right. So you said from a gear standpoint, and that might have been mine. If it was, I apologize. But go ahead.
know what happened, but it's all right. Technical difficulties. From a gear standpoint, I'm team Under Armour. I have a lot of Under Armour clothes. I work out in Under Armour clothes, a lot like that. But from a shoe standpoint, not interested. I'm a Nike guy. Like, if I wanted to get into don't start making jokes. Running shoes, so on here then Nike's not the right shoe for that. But just from any other aspect of shoe, cleat, whatever, I like to see a Nike shoe. I think they make the best looking stuff and the best. Period.
Have you ever clowned anybody? Because there was once a day that you got to have thick skin in the locker room. You and I have been in locker rooms where there's them dudes missed their call and they should have been comedians, and you one of them. You could have easily donned the stage and been a comedian. So you were active in what I call it cracking on people. Some people call it heating people. They're Jones.
We used to call it capping, and now
capping, right? You can't say
now
capping.
cap has changed definition. These young boys took the website.
Have you ever capped on anybody for wearing Under Armours? Because at some point before, like
it didn't exist when I'm too old, so now you aging me. It didn't exist when I was in college.
Yeah, all right,
when that was in the locker.
But they were Bobos. Under Armours were the equivalent of Bobos before Steph Curry became the face of Under Armour as it pertains to basketball.
I don't think he saved them. I mean, have you ever owned a pair of Steph Curry shoes?
I have. I bought a pair of vintage Steph Currys and for my son, and he wore them one time, and a basketball coach kind of clowned them, like, "What are those?" He never wore them again. They're actually dope. I like the shoes. I'm big into fashion. It's just the color of them. It's a dope shoe, but I bought them for my son, and now I'm just gonna assume them because he's not gonna wear them. I like some of the shoes. I like them. Now he went with the high top because he was notorious for the ankle issues. But I guess that's my question. I asked that to the audience. For those who are part of the live audience, first and foremost, we thank you for listening in the live audience. We ask you to weigh in. When you think of Under Armour, if you're someone that's a Nike person, like a lot of us, when it comes to basketball, have you ever purchased an Under Armour shoe? When you saw somebody wearing them, did you think differently? Did you think their game was a little off because they had on Under Armour? And how would you evaluate that partnership? I'll give you the final word before I give you stats on the partnership itself.
I would say, look, you can get with this. This is an Under Armour cleat, right?
I think Under Armour did a good job in football. Under Armour did a good job in football.
This is why this shoe was accessible for me, because my son had me try to sell some of his cleats on eBay, and those been sitting there for a while. The Nike's been gone. They left. Those are gone right away. It's just a regular basic pair of white Nikes. Somebody bought them. They come and got them. I don't know. I think Steph Curry did. I was happy for him. I'm like, he's free at last.
The best of that deal? Return on investments. Let me call out the numbers first, and then I'll ask you the question. First of all, it's a mutual separation. As we both thought when we talked about it, there was a lifetime deal. So Steph Curry had to agree when Under Armour thought it would be in their best interest to move on and get back to their core business, whatever the hell that is. It was a mutual separation. Curry retains all ownership, intellectual property-wise, of the Curry brand. Under Armour is restructuring, so they put that out there so they can focus on the core of their business. And they are producing through February of 2026. Kerr will own all the IP. They split on his terms. And it is reported that the Curry line is estimated to have made between 100 and 120 million in global basketball revenue just in 1 year. The sales in the first year for Under Armour up like 399% the first year when they had the SC ones, the Steph Curry ones. So, having said all of that, having spent the prime of his basketball career donning Under Armour and being the face of that brand for both sides, for Under Armour and for Steph Curry, how would you grade their return on their investment?
I think they made their money on their investment, but I think they've absolutely lost. There's only one winner, only one loser in this situation because there's only one Steph Curry. And let's just face it, the Under Armour brand is not the brand without Nike's Nike. Nike's gotten to a point now where mine is take Jordan away, but anybody else that you add to Nike, it's mutual. You got a great shoe, they got a great athlete. Other than Jordan. Jordan obviously made Nike as a company, but anybody else who comes in there, they can switch it. With Kyrie left, they was fine. They brought in the shooter, and he's messed up his brand. They'll bring in somebody else. They'll be fine. Nike's gonna be.
You call Ja Morant the shooter?
The shooter. The shooter.
Shoot him up.
They bring in Ja Morant, and they'll cycle him right out, and they'll bring in the next one.
Figure out what you was talking about.
They'll bring in the next man, and they're fine. No, nobody that I can see. Obviously LeBron is huge for the brand, but he's not selling the shoes of a Jordan. I would say minus another LeBron. I don't know who did Wemby sign with.
Great question. I don't know who Wemby. I think Wemby's Nike.
New Balance.
I think Wemby's Nike. No,
so,
Cooper Flag is New Balance. But the Cooper Flag thing only happens right because of Steph Curry. He's the forefather of going about it a little different.
And what's his name? And who's that New Balance? The
Kawhi Leonard was the first to leave Jordan Brand and go to New Balance.
Mm-hmm.
But
so that's purely. So here's the thing is,
go ahead.
Those brands, New Balance is never selling a pair of basketball shoes without Kawhi Leonard. Never even. How dare you? No one on earth would buy a pair of those. How dare you?
Maxey is also New Balance, the guy from the 76ers.
So all of those people, New Balance needs those guys. If you don't have those guys, nobody's wearing New Balance shoes. You will get if you go to
not basketball shoes. You wear New Balance
basketball shoes.
Leisure, yeah.
If you go to the local park and you have a pair of New Balance on without these athletes, you never have next.
But New Balance, I think, is still like trying to figure it out. Those Under Armours kind of became basketball shoes, bro, for a little bit. You gotta give it to them.
Because of what?
Because of Steph Curry.
You take Steph Curry away, nobody. What are those? There's nobody. Nike, dude. It's Nike and Adidas. That's all you can really think about. Nike and Adidas. So
then we gotta say this that Under Armour definitely got more than its money's worth and got their return.
It did, but they lost now. The fact that they got rid of Steph Curry, there is only one Steph Curry, and wherever he goes is going to do better than they is. If Steph Curry signs with Nike tomorrow, Nike will make more money off of Steph Curry than Under Armour is because they don't have to get over the fact that they're Under Armour shoes because Nike already has good shoes. They can come out with basketball shoes.
Curry just went for like 46 2 nights ago, something like that. Crazy. Again, like
he's Hall of Fame, top whatever, any list, best shooter in the history, and he's the kind of guy that was going to give you money well beyond his playing years, like a Michael Jordan, like a Kobe Bryant, like one of them, well beyond his playing years. Like that's why you do a lifetime contract with a guy like that because he's going to keep doing it. He's a perfect image guy. Everyone likes him. Fantastic. Probably gonna be something. But now he's done, and what's going to happen is in 4 or 5 years they're going to say Steph Curry used to be with Under Armour. I'm going to be nah, man, because whoever he's going to next, if he does. Especially if he goes to Nike. If he goes to Nike next, it'll be a distant memory.
I hope he goes with what's Kyrie's company, Antha, or whatever it's called. I hope he does something off.
My daughter plays in the Chinese shoe.
Yeah.
My daughter plays volleyball in those shoes.
The fact that we call it the Chinese shoe and not by the brand, I guess
I don't know what the name of the brand is, and I've purchased them. I don't even.
Is there anybody else that we can think of who's an Under Armour athlete? Basketball athlete? No, not off the top of your head. That's the quiz. It was a pop quiz. You can't.
It was a
You
pop quiz.
try to
I
Google.
failed.
I mean, which was the device. So I would say if that's the case, Under Armour definitely got its return on its investment, and we'll see. I mean, I think Steph Curry is just. I mean, his boyish look, his ability to connect with so many different age groups with all genders. He's just a really likable guy. His wife is more unlikable than him. Like that's very rare that a professional athlete has such a reputation that he could absolutely run for office, any office in the land, including the executive office. He's got that kind of persona. So I think he was almost above the brand. No matter what he wore, he has a connection that's going to be studied at some point. But I guess they both came out on top in terms of their return on investment. Chef Curry will be Under Armour no more. But because
even ChatGPT is having a hard time with that
trying to
question.
figure out what other athletes.
ChatGPT is like, now hold on.
Yeah.
Who is exactly is this?
Yeah,
that's bad. It's just going shoo.
So we'll see, man. Shout out to Under Armour, and let's hope that they can improve the stock by focusing on their core. I will then say this, because Steph Curry is the poster child for what it means to really own your brand, right? When you talk about return on investment, because he was smart enough to own his brand, and he took a page out of Michael Jordan's book.
Joel Embiid, Steph Curry.
Who's the first person you said?
Joel Embiid, Steph Curry, De'Aaron Fox, Davion Mitchell, Seth Curry. I wonder, does Seth go? Does he have to go now? Is he still on the NBA roster?
He was just a +1. Seth Curry got cut from Golden State, and that probably means the end of his career, but I don't know.
That's bad.
Most recently, he got cut from his brother's team.
And then Jerace Walker. See, that's bad. So Under Armour basically is going to file for. If you have stock, I would short that stock right now.
Short the stock.
There's bigger things happen. Bigger things are in trouble.
But Steph Curry was the face of what it meant, and he did take a page out of Michael Jeffrey Jordan's book in owning his brand. And I think what he also did by putting Under Armour in a new position and having equity in the company such that they had to have a mutual agreement before they could part ways on a lifetime contract. What he also did is he set an example for all of these young college athletes that are just getting into this concept of name, image, and likeness. Shout out to University of Pennsylvania basketball, because they set a new precedent, Ivy League precedent, by setting up a NIL collective that their alum and supporters can pay into, that directly funds players, and with legit NIL deals and paid internships. And I think by doing that, and again, I talked about how NIL has had this amazing impact on the whole. They talk about trickle down economics, man, even on youth sports, because every parent thinks their kid's the next one, but it's also had an impact on parity. And UPenn, by doing this, because several players now are taking the route, some by choice, some by force, that they've got to go to, a mid-major in hopes that they can go there, play early, ball out, and get a big paycheck from one of the, high major programs. And I think UPenn basketball also put themselves in a good position by doing this. But shout out to them. I think, with some of the paid internships that Ivy Leagues have been notorious for setting up for their athletes, in a situation where it is very notorious that Ivy Leagues don't pay for athletic scholarships, I think UPenn has put themselves in a really good category. And I know if I've had I do have a son that plays ball, but if it was a situation,
what you're about to say, what lies were about to be told? Yeah, if I had a son, I'd be happy for him to play for UPenn. Lies, liar, liar.
If I could edit that right now, I'll just delete that. This is live, even though it's live. But my point is I think that UPenn is in a good situation. One of my son's teammates for this year did sign at UPenn.
Malcolm's
Shout out
kids.
to him. Isaiah Carroll, who knows our boy Malcolm, went to Harvard Westlake out in Cali. So shout out to Isaiah Carroll.
Malcolm's son play football for Penn, right?
Say again. Yes. And yes, Malcolm's son is currently at UPenn playing football and basketball. Shout out to UPenn, man. I think that's a great idea. And taking the wave of NIL and making it more accessible to student athletes that otherwise might not have those opportunities. Shout out to them. I'll give you last word on it, man, before we move on. But
I think it's interesting. It's kind of like one of those things you're skating the rules a little bit because, obviously the Ivy League is Division I football, and they made a decision that they're not going to give out scholarships. So the fact of the matter is, now that they're doing the NIL, it's kind of like, hold on, man. Like if I'm the other Ivies, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We say we're not doing scholarships, but you basically are doing scholarships, right? Because now you can give me enough money to pay my tuition with the NIL deal. That's like you cheating a little bit. Like you know what I'm saying? Like maybe UPenn has the better law school than Harvard and Yale, and they can sit there. No offense, yeah,
they skirt the rules.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I think they might also be setting up a new thing where now Columbia, all the other Ivies now are going to feel pressure to join the party. I want to say
the Ivies participate in the NCAA tournament, and now the Ivies are participating in the FCS football playoffs. So they're starting to say maybe we might fuck around.
There's something to this.
Some say,
Look, the reality is what the Ivy Leagues have probably come to accept is the generations of donors that have written large checks to, I think Yale's got I don't know who's got the biggest endowment right now. That was my space once upon a time. I used to do that. But it comes by way of very successful professionals writing large checks to that endowment. And now schools that don't have crazy research departments, don't have, a laundry list of congressmen that, are alum, right? There are universities that have alum and fan bases that are literally writing checks to help football, basketball. And so I think they've noticed that that's also an opportunity to get support from alum and supporters. So we'll see if it works out, man. I wanted to also give a shout out, man. I see my man Cheeky Black. Cheeky Black. My man Keith Wilkerson, the best running back I've ever seen. Any level is in the building. And my man Jay Crit. Jay Crit's question. Thank you all for commenting. We ask anyone who's in the live audience, like we ask every week, humbly, please like, please comment, please share, please tag a friend, please tag a foe, and please tag anyone that you know, and subscribe to the YouTube channel and to the podcast. You'd be doing a world of favor for us. It only take you about 30 seconds. And guess what? It won't cost you nothing on this episode of
Not a damn
investments. It ain't gonna cost you nothing, man. So the return will be great because you're helping us out. Jay Crit asks, are you sending your sons to ND? And I say to you, Jay Crit, in response to that question, I say to any Notre Dame fan, I say to anybody that's on Notre Dame's campus, show me the money. No, I'm just joking. It's their decision, man. But a lot of our friends now are at that crossroads where their sons are being recruited. We've got some of our teammates that have sent their kids there. We have some of our teammates that have very vocally decided not to send their kids there. And the investment that I made in Notre Dame is mine. And I think that I continue to get return on those investments. But truth be told, my son's going to go where it makes the most sense, where what school shows the most interest. And I just pray that indeed they go to school for free. A part of this return.
Give us free.
Give us free. Let's get into we did UPenn. We did Steph Curry. Let's get into Nico Harrison, persona non grata in Dallas. The man who has been blamed for everything, including El Nino. Nico gotta go, Harrison. In fact, I found out on this day that man's name is Nico Tyrone Harrison, who was the GM of the Dallas Mavericks. Somebody had to call Tyrone, tap him on the shoulder, and say he got to go. Looking at their record this year, they were 3-8 in the first 11 games. Nico very famously, let me see if I can find that, very famously answered a question about his employment. Let me see if I can bring that on. And in doing so, set himself up for what ultimately was his failure. 3-8 start, first 11 games. He doesn't have AD. AD is already out with a calf issue. We'll get into maybe how that injury, along with his response to that injury, might have been a problem. But would you say 11 games in, it's an 82-game season, would you say that the Dallas Mavericks jumped the gun in firing Nico this year? You don't have Kyrie, you don't have AD. Do you think Nico was fired prematurely?
I never heard of it. I mean, I heard of firing coaches too soon, but who fires the GM? Like, okay, right now you're 11 games in, you're not happy with your record, so you fire.
I should have added GM. They are 3-8, and Luka over there acting a donkey. He's infamous for the Luka trade. It really sparked all the fire Nico signs in Dallas. The man basically had to get security just to go get gas in Dallas. And the 3-8 is one thing. You're throwing gasoline on a hot fire with gasoline draws on when you see Luka over there acting a damn donkey in LA. I think that might have had something to do with it too. But still, was it premature?
Yeah, I just don't understand. What do you get out of it? Like, you're just mad at him?
Well, we're talking about return on investments. I think what you get out of it.
Okay, so you fire the coach.
Yeah.
Because you don't like the direction of the team right now, and it's going to make a change. What is going to happen right now that's for firing the GM? They're not going to start winning games. Like, they're not turning this show around.
I think what happens, right? I think what happens, and I should have summed up.
How was Cooper Flag doing?
I only saw one game, so that's part of the problem too, right? Because when you fire him, I think that brings more butts to get in those seats. It brings more eyes to watch the games. It might just be ceremonial in the sense that it hasn't done anything for the product on the floor. But I think that, sort of their return on that investment, firing him, is the court of public opinion in Dallas. People now feel as though, okay, Dallas is serious about, like the man as the GM in that seat was a part of a team that went to the finals, the NBA finals. 1 year. Well, that's 2 years ago, not last year, year before. They were in the NBA finals. I think Western Conference finals at one point in his career. It's there 4 years. I'm trying to think Dallas, but he's had moderate success as the GM. The team has had very moderate success. Good. I would say every team other than like 28 teams didn't go to the finals. So it was them and one other team. It was better than 28 teams, and that was just 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's pretty good. They're a pretty good basketball team a couple years ago, and now things are bad. So
if anybody didn't know, that's our man Nico. Nico Gotta Go said this in a very interesting exchange with a reporter. Let me make sure I put the volume on, and let's play it.
Why shouldn't you be fired?
Well, one, I think I've done a really good job here, and I don't think I can be judged by the injuries this year. You have to judge from totality, from beginning to end, and so I think I have a really good working relationship with Patrick. I think you add in Rick, the leadership that we have is really elite, and you'll see next year when our team comes back, we're going to be competing for a championship.
That last statement is the one that got him in trouble, right? I didn't like the vibe of some reporter.
I didn't like the lack of bass in his voice with that answer. So
But somebody asked you why you shouldn't be fired.
More bass should be in your voice. You should have an attitude. He answered that. He answered like he gave credence to the question by
Lighting the
answering so
loafers.
soft.
You lighting the loafers. You can't be lighting the loafers. You talking about your
Yeah,
job.
I'm firing you just for how you handle that answer. I'm right. Next topic. Fire Nico. I'm glad he gone.
Yeah.
I can't. I've never heard him speak before. I didn't know he was soft like that.
I think he's soft spoken. But I mean, having an exchange with a reporter that's asking you why you shouldn't be fired, that question itself is just terrible. I wouldn't have dignified it with an answer. He did.
No. The way he did, fuck no.
But he ended.
Do you have a warrant? Hey, do you have a warrant? You asking me questions like that?
But he ended it with, "You'll see next year when we're healthy, and we'll be competing for a championship." At 3-8, that interview, ironically, might have sealed his fate. There's a lot of other things in there. It's reported that he was trying to rush AD back on his injured calf. We know that the injured calf has been sort of the precursor to a ruptured Achilles for several of the great basketball players in the NBA. And the medical staff forbade him from coming back early. So he's at odds with the medical staff. But if you think of sort of the domino effect, why do you want AD to come back quicker? And Mark asked, is AD ever healthy? Touche, Mark. Touche. I appreciate that comment. And I have to think about it if he's ever healthy. But why do you want him to come back earlier? Because you sat in front of that media pool and answered that silly ass question by saying you'll see next year when we're healthy and we're competing for a championship. And now they're 3-8. And in a weird way, I think that interview was the domino effect, both substantively making him do things like try to get AD to come back quicker, substantively on the fact that you're absolutely not on pace to compete for a championship, and then just more of like a figuratively, like, we got to keep asking that question. Why shouldn't you get fired? And that working relationship that you thought you had with Patrick ended in Nico got to go. What up, Crit? Crit says the GM has no effect once the season starts. Firing him during the season just means there were meetings that didn't go well and the owner had enough. Very fair, maybe. And I hope that comes out. Nico has also been used in mostly social media with some conspiracy theories that say essentially like Nico was thrown under the bus to rebalance the entire NBA and get Luka in LA. The viewership is up 92% year over year to date, while Luka is now in LA. And yeah.
When is Kyrie supposed to be back?
That's a good question. I don't know. Great question. I don't know.
I mean, really though, can you blame him for Kyrie getting hurt? I mean, he should have known AD was going to get hurt, so that's on you. But can you blame him?
Kyrie was a fluke. Fluke play, but
they got a Cooper flag. They got Kyrie coming back. AD next year they should be straight.
They should be straight. We'll see.
He won't know nothing about it.
Won't know nothing about it, man. Nico changed his. I don't know if it's Instagram or X, Twitter, whatever we're going to call it. But he changed his description to unemployed. And I hope he's having. I hope he's getting a good laugh.
As if he needed to put that out there on LinkedIn.
We didn't
open to new opportunities.
We didn't know. Searching for jobs. They called me. But had never been in an executive position before, and so that's one of the facts that people use to say he was unqualified. He was very close friends with Rob Pelinka. And conspiracy theories don't necessarily always have, substance behind them, but this one seems a little more credible. But shout out to Nico. Hopefully he bounces back. I did have to talk about Eric Dickerson. ED. That Eric Dickerson, NFL Hall of Famer, who is 14th all-time for rushing TDs. 9th all-time rushing yards. First all-time in terms of most yards in a single season with 2,105 in 1984. He was on the Up in Smoke or All the Smoke, whatever it is, with why am I drawing a blank? My man
Barnes.
Barnes, yeah. What's his first name? Matt Barnes. Matt
Mhm.
Barnes and what's the other dude name? I'm tripping. I like him too.
Jackson.
The Palace. Malice in the Palace, Jackson. So
Freddie Jackson.
He was on that podcast and
Steven
essentially
Jackson.
calls out the NFL for being racist. He talked about the race norming when it comes to the baseline test when they're trying to figure out if someone has CTE. But he went on and had some really, really, I think, damning things to say about the NFL. He talked about the insurance, the lack thereof. He talked about how hard it is to get the pension. He talked about how the insurance is just for the former players and not their families. And here's, Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes contrasting it to the NBA's pension, contrasting it to their insurance and how they provide for the whole family, contrasting it to the work that former players did on behalf of the air quote old timers. And it's night and day. You hear this and you think what? And I think even more damning because he's talking about it as he's also revealing his fear that he has CTE. Mm-hmm. He's talking about it as he is reliving old players. Was it Too Tall Jones?
Deacon Jones.
Deacon Jones. He talked about. He talked about it as he's talking about Christian Okoye and his struggles with health. And so it just seemed as though it was an accelerant, if you will, to be talking about race issues in the same conversation as we're discussing major health issues that these players are facing.
Yeah, I think that was something that had come up before and probably didn't get as much negative press as it should have. The way that, the CTE settlement and the baselining saying that Black people are already stupid. So to say that they've declined in intelligence when they started at a lower point is just unbelievable. Like that even got out there. That they would just blanketly state that. So he's saying that he has onsets of Parkinson's right now. He's like, I think he said Deacon Jones is only getting $250 a month in his pension. I think he said his pension was like $1,000 a month.
He said his was $1,500. Deacon Jones was $250.
$250 a month. So, the NFL has always been the worst league for the athletes that there is, considering that you have the highest risk, the biggest, detriment to your lifelong longevity,
quality of life.
Everything is worse in that sport than any other sport. So if your son can throw a baseball, let him throw the damn baseball. So it's a difficult situation, and they just need to be exposed for the amount of money that they're not giving to their old players and the people that made the league the way it is. So he's understandably upset. You're facing, mortality when you start thinking about having some of these debilitating diseases, and he wants to be heard. I don't know what the solution is. I know that CTE lawsuit was, lost, but they've found ways not to pay people, so it's terrible.
I ask you this because this episode is going by the title of Return on Investments. You think about the years that we spent in that game. You think about all of the hard work, all of the sacrifices that we made, and you then think about the risk that we took. And just blanket statement. I mean, your son is still playing football. My sons are playing football. I just asked, not knowing what your response is going to be, but I am curious. Do you think that we got justified return on our investments in terms of the sacrifices that we made and what we got from the game?
I do. I think that even though my football career was not what I expected it to be, what it's done for me just to be able to say that I played football at a high level and what it says on my resume, I think that it's there. I think what I've learned in character, some of, do I have ailments? Yeah, but I'm at 52 years old. I have so many friends that never played college sports that are having back surgeries and fusions and knee replacements and hip replacements and stuff. and I haven't had any of those things, and much more expected, I guess, much higher expectation to have some of those things. So from that standpoint, I could be doing a lot worse from a health standpoint. I think what I've gained from just the friendships and just the experience has been great. What I've been able to pass on to my kids and all that kind of thing has been so far so good. I think the sport's getting safer, so the ROI is going to be better. As soft as the sport is, as much as I would hate it, my son's a receiver, so all the softness has helped me out tremendously to sleep at night when I see him go out for a pass and know that someone's not going to try to dislocate his chin the way that they did you and Malk back in the day. I love that. So I think the ROI is still there. Life's too short.
My man Malcolm Johnson says, sadly, we know full well that Eric Dickerson was 100% correct. Malcolm Johnson was, our teammate at Notre Dame, also went on to play in NFL, doing very well for himself, well beyond NFL, has an MBA and is running his own fund, doing phenomenal things. And I guess I share his story to then share mine. Like, I got to that point because, Eric Dickerson talked about the pension. You got to play 4 years, get 3 games. Well, I never made it to the 4th year. And I got to this fork in the road where you got to make a decision. And I knew I wanted to go to law school. I had started studying for the LSAT. There's a continuing education fund that the NFL has. Every team accesses this continuing education fund, and almost no one uses it. And so when I found out about that, I'm like, all right, man, I can start studying for my LSAT, preparing. I can get the NFL to pay for my law school. And had opportunities to go to NFL Europe, and literally I'm sitting in between 2 decisions because I'm thinking, all right, if I continue down this path, I can get the extra, time that I need to get pension, or I can follow my dreams, and my dreams beyond just football. And so, as the story goes, it's clear what my decision was. I decided to pass on a few of those opportunities and pursue the educational dreams that I had as well. I'd be lying if I said I don't wonder what if. I'd be lying if I said, some extra money every month that would be an additional return on the investment that I made for the game would be helpful. I'd be lying if I said I'm not afraid when I forget something, or when my speech is a little slurred, or I got a headache, or
all sounds like signs of too much drinking to me.
Yeah, I'll take that too. When it's all said and done, when you look at my tombstones, that boy he lived a good life.
Hey, pour a little liquor. Pour a little liquor out for him. His hands will come out the grave and catch it.
But I'd be lying if I said when I hear stories about people who I looked up to, like Dave Dickerson, and the tragic end to his life. I'd be lying if I said I'm not concerned. And so I guess I'm going with to be determined. If indeed I'm willing to say that the return on the investment is worth all the sacrifice that we made. And I'll leave it there, man. But it is one of those things that I hear Eric Dickerson, and his story is one that I hear too often. My heart goes out to him and his family. But he represents a whole community of people who don't have the voice, who aren't on that podcast, who don't have rushing records, who aren't a household name, but yet they're meaningful to the people in their lives. So anyway, that was an interesting twist and turn to the show, but wanted to at least address it because I know that there are a lot of families out there who are experiencing erratic behavior, right? Their former player happens to be dad, son, brother, uncle, grandfather. And so those things aren't happening in a vacuum. Families and lives are impacted by it. So prayers with ED, prayers with all of the brethren in the fraternity that is football, whether it be at any level. If you've played that game, you laced them up, you went out there on that field and made those sacrifices. Our prayers are with you that The fact that we played before the game caught up with science and the reality and the rules and the safety were in place doesn't mean that your life is any less important. So our prayers are out for all of those. My man Malcolm says, I'm in the same camp as ED. I wouldn't trade my football experience for anything, but that doesn't mean that there doesn't need to be more focus on players' short and long-term health. Couldn't agree anymore. My man Mark, my bad. I hid your comment accidentally, Mark. Sometimes this little thing, unhide it. My bad. Mark asked me, was it too much? There it is right there. Too much Henny. Man, hey, get out my liquor cabinet, Mark. You hitting home right now, man. And I'm more of a Scotch guy now. I graduated from Henny. Yeah. Return on my investments. I can go to Scotch now. It is interesting, man. I think Eric Dickerson is someone, because of his credibility, because of his accomplishments, is a good champion for a cause that so many of us need. So shout out to you, Eric Dickerson. While we celebrate your 2,105 yards on the field in a single season as a former player and someone that knows too many friends, brothers, not friends, brothers dealing with some real health issues, I'm looking forward to you running up the yards and calling out the NFLs, because we can do better, so we should. We're going to go quickly now. Lightning round. Because one of the things that we are discussing in terms of the condition of players, in terms of players needing pension, families being financially in bad situations that you thought never would be, because the person they relied on is dealing with health issues, with no insurance for families, and a lot of times pension inadequate to cover all the costs of living. So on the other side of that, I started off by talking about my friend Malcolm Johnson. I love when players show us that they have some fiscal responsibility. My man Herb Jones, who signed a 3-year, $68 million a year. Even somebody like the Big Flow Show can do that math. That's over,
Hold on, let me take my shoes off. But shut your ass.
That's a lot of money, right? That's over $20 million a year. That man making $20 million a year gross is still wearing issue gear. He said, I'm not buying no designer clothes to do
issue gear. For those of you who didn't play sports, is just kind of what it sounds like. Every team out there has some, they like you to look uniform, so they're going to give you sweatshirts, t-shirts, different things that in issue gear. In college, people used to get teased because you might catch them out on a weekend night at the mall or somewhere in issue gear, and you're like, come on, man. Don't wear the free stuff. Go into your bag, hit the mall, put yourself a little outfit together. But there was those that are famous for wearing issue gear at all occasions. So I didn't want that to be missed.
Free, straight up free 99.
Free stuff.
Yeah. And it says Pelicans on it. Like, so for a fact it's free stuff. And Herb Jones, shout out to him. He said, man, I ain't worried about all of that designer clothes just to walk into a game. So somebody paparazzi catch a flick of me. I'm living a life. So when I'm done, my family is good. And in this episode of Ball Hawk Sports Talk, going by the title of Return on Investments, to be that fiscally responsible, to understand that the people that matter are the people that live in your household, is a story that I wanted to make sure we shared here on the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, especially on this episode, especially on the heels of talking about Eric Dickerson and some of the greats that are struggling with things. Shout out to Herb Jones, man. More athletes need to take a page out of Herb Jones' book versus, you got anything and everything on the catwalk. It's not even an entry to the game anymore. It literally is a catwalk. You got purses, you got Merces, you got high heels, you got all kind of interesting fashion decisions. And most of them come at a pretty hefty price tag. The reason people come in there looking so dumb It's because a designer made it and charged a whole bunch of money for it. And now they come in there looking like boo-boo, the absolute fool, not realizing that your time to shine, your moment in the sun, is indeed 15 seconds of fame and even less of financial riches. So be careful and protect your money like Herb Jones. Styling with discipline. Go ahead, Herb Jones. You brought this story to my attention, so I give you last word on it, champ.
Hey, I'm saying, you never know. Under Armour, you know what I'm saying? You may not get $1 billion, but you know what I'm talking about? They might be, you might want to call her, get him real cheap. I would love to see this turn into a story. I'd love to see him say, all right, look, this dude's coming to issue gear. Somebody can sponsor him and start giving him some clothes to wear and make him not have to pay for it and have to come in there and be the man. Yeah. But I like a lunch pail guy like that. Just come to work, man. I'm here to hoop. So,
Yeah. Absolutely. Malcolm Johnson asked about, and that is a great question. How much more successful would you have been if you entered into the business world in your early 20s? Man, oh, that's a great question, man.
As a man who's staring at retirement, I keep thinking about carry the 6, compound it, hit that thing, just S&P it for a little while. Just S&P that, just free
S&P.
And look at retirement early. Ooh.
Right. And then those returns are what you would live on, right? The returns on your investments, the compounding interest, all of the things that we didn't know. All we want to do is get a stat. I just want a stat, dog. Let me get some stats. And we enjoyed what were the immediate perks there too. Getting in the club, you know what I mean? I walked right to the front, baby. I thought I was doing it. I really did. Truth be told, man, I love hearing stories like Herb Jones. I love hearing stories about like my brother, like Malcolm Johnson. We just need to make sure we have more of those stories and less of the Eric Dickerson stories and Christian Okoye stories and Deacon Jones stories. While they had phenomenal careers, and people are going to read about those careers much longer than they're going to read about my little 2 catches in the NFL. Truth be told, man, it also comes with some tragedy. So let's try to balance it, baby. Right? Return on investments. Balancing. We got to balance. Like balancing checkbooks, we got to balance our life. And so Herb Jones, I think he has the perfect balance. While he is no less rich because he wears free gear, I think he is very rich in terms of his decision making. And so more players need to do it. Brian Daboll got the axe. We knew it was coming. He lost a 10-point lead to some sorry team that plays in what's that? I think it's in Chicago. What's that team? What's the team called in Chicago?
The Bears.
The Bears. He lost a 10-point lead to the Bears. And you teased Northwestern about being the catalyst behind my man getting fired at Penn State, Mr. Franklin. Well, the Bears are the catalyst behind why Brian Daboll got fired. So that means they don't really think too much of you and you.
They don't like these. There's something about the state. They don't like our teams. But that's BS, though. You fired. What are you saying, man?
They must think that there's no way
you've been on my style. You love my. You know what I'm saying? You're offended. You're so offended that they lost to me that you loses his job.
Get your ass up out of Gotham City, losing to the Bears. You
can't come by and get your hair cut here no more, man.
He was in the 4th of a 5-year deal, reportedly up to $30 million. We know much of his success came as an OC in Buffalo, but the question of in-game decisions and losing to a 10-point lead to the Bears inexplicably said to management. That is what said to management that, you got to go. You got to go. Return on investments, man. As a coach, you got to put in. And return on investments when it comes to a coach is what have you done for me lately? I remember, because I live here amongst a lot of Giants fans, all my neighbors, just the euphoria of having hired Brian Daboll, and they thought they had the one. You look at what Daniel Jones, we talk about how Nico got fired, and there was an exacerbating or an accelerant, if you will, fact that Luka is doing very well in LA. I would add the same thing. Look at what Daniel Jones is doing in Indianapolis. Brian Daboll couldn't do nothing with Daniel Jones. Danielson. And so Brian Daboll has to go. We'll see who the Giants hire. But since 2016, which I think is crazy, we talk about return on investment.
You just think about how quick it changes with these people. Like They were when Scatterboo was going, and they were doing flips and shit, and they were hanging out, and
Jackson Dart, Mama
Jackson
at the
Dart was
game.
doing the gritty and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, showing he had flavor. That was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was like 3 weeks.
That's forever ago when you talk about return on
so
investment.
long ago. Yeah, 3 weeks. It was already
It-
starting to get cold out.
Cold.
And it's gone.
Look, they have 6 head coaches, including interims,
Amazing.
and accumulated a regular season record of 53 wins and 104 losses since 2016. I'm sorry, with 1 tie since 2016. And so they have not gotten the return on investment at any of those coaches. We'll see where they go next. And Church, like you said, man, what have you done for me lately, baby? It got to be fresh. It got to be hot out the oven when it comes to success in coaching the NFL, baby.
The job is only secure for one half a game at a time. Halftime, they reevaluate. You go back out there.
Quickly, but very quickly, yet very important. Stephen A. Smith is going to war with a few of his old colleagues, Michelle Beadle, Carrie Champion, and I'm not going to get into the details of the beef. What I will say is this. On 4th and 1, Cam Newton basically praised Stephen A. for responding to them, but doing so on his own platform. What Cam Newton was telling us is, with traditional media dying, you have to have ownership, right? You have to have the understanding of intellectual property and controlling your story on your own platform.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just using the Stephen A. story to really bring up what I thought was genius in Cam Newton saying it. And he basically was like, look, certain things I'm only going to talk about on 4th and 1. I'll be very vague when I'm on the desk at ESPN. I'm going to get into the details when I'm on 4th and 1 because this is mine. I thought it was brilliant. And on this episode of Return on Investments, it makes the point. Ownership matters. Shout out to Cam for pointing that out. Shout out to Stephen A. Smith. Whether you love him or hate him, I think he's doing a good job of understanding which platform deserves the riveting content because he owns it. And by doing so, he's getting the return on his investments. What say you before we get into our Ball Hawk Spotlight moment? Stephen A., Cam Newton, platforms they own. I thought it was a very good thing to say by Cam Newton.
I will say this. I kind of like where we are, and I'll say my opinions of Stephen A. because they're not relevant in this, but I will say that I like the fact it used to be when you were a media personality, whatever, that you were on all the time. Like no matter what, this is who you are, and you're held accountable for any hot mic or anything that could possibly happen. I think it's great now that you can be Stephen A. Smith. He can act one way on ESPN, but then he's free and there's no consequences for what he says on his platform.
He's Suge Knight. Stephen A. is Suge Knight on his platform. Thug out.
Yeah, he does whatever he wants to do. And Shannon was doing it, and Shannon got hurt because of that, his lawsuit, whatever. But before that, he was doing it.
But Cam Newton, I'm interrupting you just to add to the Shannon thing. Cam Newton even said that. He's like, look what happened to Shannon Sharp. If he didn't have, I don't know his thing. He got the night one with Ocho, and he's got the other one. Mm-hmm. He's like, if he didn't have them platforms, he'd be struggling. It was seamless. He got fired on Monday. He was doing shows Monday night. And he used him as an example why it's really important to control and own your intellectual property.
Yeah, and it's like great. He's like, you can't just strip me out butt naked and put me on the street. And you're seeing that all over the place. Actually, you're seeing political. I'm not going to give anybody any light, but some of these conservative talking heads, when they've gone against Fox News and they got kicked off, they show up. They just pick up tomorrow and they do their thing. You're not even going to get me quiet for a day. And then they probably get a better following because now you really find out who these people really are. And nowadays, that's what we want to find out. Who are these people for real? So I think it's a beautiful thing. And I do think that I like how he says, hey, I'm gonna use, you and I end up on a certain show every once in a while. Every season, it seems like we end up on a show here and there. Mm-hmm. And it's a chance to promote our show too. I mean, it's a chance for you to take a new audience and promote your show. So really all they're doing on these they're using these media outlets as ways to publicize themselves. And so if you really like me as a fan of me on the show, come check out my podcast.
Right. My man Mark gets the comment of the day. I think he's talking about standing sharp, pounding drawers all day. By drawers, he means. Oh, that's hilarious.
Just leave that out there.
Mark, that is like hilarious. I needed that laugh. But no, you're right. Absolutely, man. It's you see, and whether or not traditional media is dying, I don't know. But it does give a whole different side of people like Stephen A. Smith. You see a whole different side, right? The hot mic that Shannon was doing, whatever, I don't remember the woman's name, but if that hot mic would have happened on a network a network's platform, he's done, right? But because it's his own platform, he ain't gonna fire himself. And that's what Cam was saying. I thought it was on point. We're gonna get the Ball Hawk spotlight, man. We're gonna get out of here today because it's been a great show, like literally a phenomenal show. As always good to be in the building with the Big Flow Show. Always good to be in the building with those who can follow us in a live recording of it. We ask you one last time before we take it home with our Ball Hawk spotlight. We ask you kindly. And in terms of investment, it literally won't cost you anything but 5 seconds. We ask you to like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone that you know, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast. You will definitely get return on investment. It's only going to cost you 5 seconds, but this good content needs to be in other people's hands and in other people's ears. So help us, help them. We're going to go home with the Ball Hawk spotlight. I couldn't choose between mine. You want to go first?
I'll go first. I actually thought mine was one that had a banner today with the guy walking out with the clothes, but I have a conversation I had last night. I was at a local chicken spot, half price wings. Shamelessly, I'll plug it. If you guys ever want to hang out with the Big Flow Show on a Thursday night, I've been known to frequent a place called Crosstown. Half price wings, pretty good.
Half price, you get a better return on your investment.
Half price wings, very, very good return on your very good ROI. And I was sitting next to a Tennessee fan, and I just found this to be very, very funny. And he was really, really mad that IU football was on top, and mad like something should be done about this. He said this team should never be good. They should never have an opportunity to be good. They're not a football school. They don't have the tradition. They should do whatever. I said, isn't that the beauty of NIL? He said, no, that's where he started off. He was complaining about NIL because he was saying that allowed Indiana to be good, and they shouldn't be good. Right. And so now I'm like, what is this? What are you saying? And he's like, nah, the tradition, the SEC, we're the best conference or whatever. I said, yeah, you're the first conference that was paying people. And I put it out there. I think the reason why Nick Saban retired is because now that other people can pay, it was going to expose him.
Hold on, you said they were the first person to what?
That was paying people. They were doing NIL.
I need to add the soundbite on that. Hold on, they were the first people to do what?
Paying folks.
Ooh.
It was when I wish I could think of something witty, but it was illegal back when it was a felony. They were paying folks.
I didn't.
They were paying folks, and so now everybody can pay folks. The SEC is slowly slipping away, slowly getting chipped away. They're always going to be a strong conference because they can pay more. And they're going to do whatever. But now the other people can pay. You're going to find out if a team like Indiana good. I love the fact that Indiana's doing well. I think it's fantastic. I like the fact that a school like that can come out of nowhere, get a coach from nowhere, and all of a sudden now, within 2 seasons, they're going to be back-to-back playoff contenders. That just makes the parity of football so much better that, two alumni can get together and at a reunion and decide, hey, let's build a collective group together and see if we can't put together a little run. Let's get a nice little run together. Otherwise, the SEC was going to keep, Alabama was going to keep doing what they're doing. They're stockpiling talent. Now we have more talent to spread out. We have guys unlikely heroes coming out of different schools that were otherwise sitting on Alabama's bench. It was a 5-star graveyard there for a while, and it's not happening anymore. So with NIL,
we probably should coin that 5-star graveyard. I like
5-star graveyard.
I like that.
And so you go out there, you got you know, you got the transfer portal, you got different NIL people. It makes sense. They can go pro from anywhere. So I love it. So I think the return on investment, you know, at Indiana, I don't know how much they're paying down there, but that ROI is pretty good. I don't know if you ever heard of the Calcuttas when people would buy the NCAA teams for the NCAA tournament. You could go in there and bid on a team, and however much they win, you get back. So if you get, you know, the champion, the ROI should be pretty good. But whatever they pay to Indiana, they just re-upped the guy's contract. I don't think their players are making millions and millions. So far, so good. So far, so good.
I think I would say, you know, I wish I could just have recorded that conversation and put on the Paul Feinbaum show, like, because that is like crazy. That's crazy that someone would take issue. How dare
mad
be good,
and you know, talking to me like I'm supposed to be agreeing with them. Like, that's
I thought you were gonna say IU should be bad forever because I don't know. That's
there's no logic behind it.
Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to make
never be good. That should piss you off. No, it doesn't.
I'll go home with two topics. I couldn't decide on which one, so I went with two. First one is rookie Travion Henderson, and he spells it TRE capital V, Travion Henderson. And this episode of Return on Investment, still under his rookie contract because he's a rookie, and he touched the ball 24 times last night, 93 total yards, 3 total touchdowns. This inexplicable reality that the Patriots are like top of the AFC right now is happening with a rookie running back that's putting up crazy numbers. Second-year quarterback, Drake May at QB. And you talk about return on investments, they got 2 players still under rookie contracts that are bringing them back to prominence in the AFC. And I have been guilty of talking about whether or not it was Coach Belichick or Tom Brady that gets credit for championships. And in the back, you know, of that conversation was it neither of them? And was it Bob Kraft? You know, was Robert Kraft the real reason behind it? In terms of return on investment, in terms of being able to turn things around and get to where he wants to go in a timely fashion without spending a lot of money, shout out to Robert Kraft. He has been, I think, the best example of getting return on investments in this sport. As an owner, he's been better than anybody else. And so shout out to Bob Kraft. I know we got questions about some of his behavior outside of the New England Patriots offices, but you got to give that man credit because he's figured it out. The other one is Notre Dame. No, actually, I'm going to save Notre Dame for the very end. The other one is Jonathan Taylor, another biggest bang for your buck. Right now, he's the 4th highest paid running back, and he is on a tear. A tear. Last Sunday, he had 32 carries, 244 yards, 3 touchdowns. The Colts won in overtime, 31-25, and he has now led the Colts to a 9-2 record, and he has done the unthinkable, which is make Daniel son. That man look good right now. That quarterback looking good. With a good running back, you can look good. And then the best is for last on this episode of Return on Investments. I said 2. I'm gonna add a third one. Is Notre Dame. Let me find the camera. Right here, right in the middle.
That's about right.
For all y'all
who on camera one.
Let me hold up. I'm doing the whole thing. For all y'all who hate Notre Dame, I'm gonna give you another reason to hate Notre Dame, but this time from a very financially prudent principle standpoint. Notre Dame, the school that you hate, that is ranked number 9 right now because you think, oh, they don't deserve to be ranked. The school that you've hated in the past before we got to this playoff system because bowls, in their infinite wisdom, would pick Notre Dame over teams that had better records. That same Notre Dame, who's playing, I think Pitt is the 23rd ranked team as number 9, has attracted College Game Day to Pittsburgh to be the featured game. Why? Because College Game Day knows that the ratings are going to be skyrocketing. Why? Because College Game Day knows that, I think it's on ABC, they want to be the lead for the game at 12 o'clock that Notre Dame is going to play in. That, again, is going to have high viewership and going to bring in a lot of eyes. I don't know if Notre Dame's going to win. Of course, I want to. What I do know is that whether it be the bowl committees in the past, whether it be this playoff committee, whether it be ABC, ESPN, Disney, and deciding to make college game day go to this game, what I do know is that all of those people get their return on investment. That gold comes with returns. Now, back to our normally scheduled program. I know there's people mad right now about that, and I don't give a damn because it is what it is.
Is it a trap game?
Hey, it is a trap game. I like the fact that Pittsburgh is ranked. I like the fact that we got a running game. I like the fact that game day is there, so we can't, act as though this isn't a big deal. It's a big deal.
This is a playoff game.
This is a playoff game. So let's go Irish. Beat the Panthers. They have Donald. Aaron Donald is the guest speaker or the guest picker on College Game Day. And man, I remember he wreaked havoc on Notre Dame that year. A little undersized, zero technique, wreaking havoc in there. What a hell of a career he had. So should be a good game. I'll be tuned in. I'm sure as a lot of you will be. And we'll go home on this. On this episode of Ball Hawk Sports Talk, let's go in by the title of Return on Investments. Several people have asked, hey man, what do you guys plan to do with the podcast? Where are you going with it? And truth be told, every hour that we've invested in it, every brain cell that we've committed to the research, every year that has gone by, we believe that a part of that return is making sure that you have good content, making sure that you understand sports, business, and entertainment. And we also know that the returns are not far. The financial returns are not far away, but we need your help. So I end with how we normally start. A part of helping us is to like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone that you know, and subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast. We will continue investing the research and the brain power to give you some sports, business, and entertainment. And we do it one way and one way only, rough, rugged, and raw. In my humble opinion, it's the best show that is discussing sports because we're doing it in a different way. Where can you get conversations about name, image, and likeness? You get stats and learn how to really think about return on investments only at the Ball Hawk Sports Talk. You get final word, Big Flo Show.
Find an Abercrombie a man with a gold rope, a Notre Dame hat, Dapper Dan, and a I don't even know what kind of vest you want to call it, all at one time.
All at once.
It's Saturday morning, on Friday
morning. Give the people what they want, baby.
Give the people what they want.
Chich. It's been a great show, man. It has been the Ball Hawk Sports Talk. It's been where sports, business, and entertainment collide. The Big Flo Show from the Middle Coast has been in the building. I am your boy, B Brown ESQ, aka the Ball Hawk, aka the Mouth of the South, aka Mr. Success Celebration, aka Breezy, aka Councilman Brown, aka Coach Bobby, aka the man who loves giving you this good content of sports, business, entertainment. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for tuning in. And with that, make sure y'all like, comment, share, tag friend, tag foe, tag anyone you know, and subscribe to YouTube channel and podcast. We is out. Peace.